everyone. I'm Mehreen, and I'm going to be your host this evening for the first in a series of live Facebook seminars organized by LADIESFUND. The title of the seminar is You Can Have It Too, and the purpose of this series, which will be held every alternative Wednesday, is to interview and dialogue with outstanding women. Women who have achieved their careers, they have a balanced family life, they have a network of friends, they have it all. And just to find out what makes them tick, what drives them, and what their philosophy in life is, so that we can all learn from them and we can all have it too, just like them. And the first person we'll interview is fashion designer Mehreen Noorani. And just to give you a bit of background, I am a member of LADIESFUND. I'm part of this wonderful group, and this is one of the various initiatives they've been having to help women network with each other and come to the forefront. So without further ado, I will introduce Mehreen. As you probably read, she's not just a world-renowned designer. She has the most amazing balanced life. She has lived around the world, studied around the world, and she started off in Karachi. In fact, I have the honor to say she was my classmate in school. So we go back very, very long, many, many years. I've seen her rise in her career, and she started off with dreams like everyone, but the difference is she made her dreams come true, which is the most amazing thing a person can do. So here's Mehreen for you. I'll bring her onto stage.
Hi, everyone.
So Mehreen, please tell us a bit about yourself in your own words.
So my name is Mehreen. I'm a fashion designer. I have my own women's wear brand. It's almost 20 years old. I've known Mehreen for about 30 years. And I live in Dubai. I have my own ready-to-wear women's wear label here. I have pop-ups and shows in Dubai and in different countries around the world.
And so what made you get into this line of work? Give us a bit of backdrop. Did you ever study it? What are your qualifications?
Yes, well, I've always been very creatively inclined, and I loved fashion since I was a teenager. I wasn't one of the kids who sewed, Barbie clothes for their Barbie dolls, but yes, by the time I was in high school, I kind of knew. So I basically went to New York to study fashion at the Fashion Institute of Technology, and that's about it.
Did you intern anywhere in the States or in Pakistan which helped you realize this was the career you'd like to get into?
Yes, so while I studied at FIT in New York, I worked and I interned with some pretty amazing brands. French Connection in 1999, Diane von Furstenberg, which was amazing. It was when she relaunched the wrap dress in 97. Wow. So yeah, it was amazing. I worked with some pretty amazing people.
Yeah, and that's great. And so after you studied fashion, you worked in fashion, did you move back to Karachi? Did you ever work here?
No, I worked in the fashion industry. I moved back to Karachi. I started my own label over there. Worked for about 2 years, managed to get some great experience, took part in the first Lux Fashion Week at Menorah all those years ago. And then when I got married, I moved to Riyadh. So I continued designing my label from there. And then I basically also got into buying, and I worked with Harvey Nichols as their buying coordinator.
That's in Riyadh?
In Riyadh.
Okay, and after that you moved to Dubai?
And yes, so I was in Riyadh for about 3.5 years, and then I moved to Dubai, and I continued working. I had my daughter in the middle, so I had a short break, but then I continued working.
Wow. So now tell me, how do you balance all this in the middle of making your dreams come true? You've got married, you've had the kids. And when you started off, did you foresee all this, or did you have a game plan, or did you just adapt to your life as it happened?
I think I adapted. I mean, when I started off, I always knew I wanted to have my own business. I didn't really think of the work family life equation because I was young at the time. So I kind of knew that I wanted to have my own business and be my own boss, so I have my own hours. And later on, it was very convenient, of course, because when I did end up having kids, it was much easier for me to manage my time and, set my hours in a way that I could work in the mornings and be with the kids in the afternoon.
So describe your average day. How do you make all this work? Monday morning for Mehreen Noorani. How does it work?
So I also like to call myself the chauffeur of my kids. So I drop my daughter to school in the morning, and then I come back, and then I'll have a quick breakfast. I respond to my work emails. I tend to do my workshop visits in the morning as well, do my designing, draping, whatever is required. I usually try and keep my client appointments in the morning as well. And then by the time afternoon comes around, I am back to duty for my kids, and I, go pick them up from school, and then, it's football, swimming. I sometimes do have clients in the evening as well. So I kind of, it depends. Each day has its different, challenges, and I kind of work around it.
Okay. And so what are the challenges? I remember from all those years ago, you used to often complain. I remember when you were in Karachi that the Darzis don't listen and the Darzis keep leaving. And I remember your Darzi stories. So tell me something about the other challenges you had besides dealing with tailors. And I'm sure there were many, many along the way.
I have to say, fortunately, I haven't had any seriously difficult challenges, being a woman, being in this field. However, of course, there is the usual, people don't really take it very seriously. They seem to think every bored housewife can pick up and become a designer. They don't realize the perseverance and the grit and the hard work that really goes into, building your own label. It's a lot of hard work. And so I would say, you need challenges to grow. And, I think challenges are good for you. But, generally, I would say, God's been really kind, and I haven't had to face any serious challenges that have, kind of hindered my career. I've kind of taken it in my stride.
So that tends to suggest you're adaptive yourself, right? Did that help, being able to adapt to the situation as it happened, rather than being
myself on being quite adaptable, adapting to the situation, to the market, to circumstances around me.
That's good. That's good. And so what makes your work a cut above the rest? And let's talk a bit about your work. What are the different types of clothes that you design? What are your styles, etc.?
So, my Mehreen Noorani brand philosophy, which I think makes me different, is the key is versatility to my brand. My brand is very versatile. I was trained in New York, and I learned from amazing people. When I worked with DVF, and that was very inspiring to me, the whole philosophy of making, key pieces and statement pieces that you can wear from day to night for the modern woman, the working woman. You can glam it up with a fantastic piece of jewelry and you're good to go. So I think what sets my brand apart is the whole philosophy, the versatility, the being able to wear it in many different ways. You can wear it modestly, you can wear it in a very modern way, you can belt it up. I have clients from all over the world, and it's amazing to see how each of them adapt my pieces to their culture. Secondly, I think what sets my brand apart is, these days inclusivity is like the buzzword, right? And I feel like my brand was inclusive right when I started. It's always been size inclusive. I've made pieces for women of all sizes. You don't have to be a certain weight or a certain height to wear my clothes. So I feel that has also set my brand and my designs apart.
Okay, that's awesome. And so what have been some of your most memorable moments along the way? In terms of any awards you've received or any milestones you've set for yourself and achieved?
I've been fortunate. I've actually achieved a lot, and I've had some amazing, moments of recognition. I would say some of my favorite ones were Designer of the Year in Dubai in 2017. I was picked up by the FIT Alumni Magazine and profiled as one of the designers to look out for as a successful alumni. That was really good. And, earlier on in my career, unfortunately, it was before the time of Facebook and Instagram. It wasn't documented, but one of my jackets was picked up by a client in the US and worn to the Latin Grammys. So for me as a designer, that was huge, know. Other than that, I recently won the Ladies Fund Award for commitment and, basically contribution to the field of fashion in Pakistan. What else? I guess that's about it. I mean, I'm trying to think.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Tell me, so in Pakistan, where are your clothes found? Because you're living in Dubai right now. So if you market your clothes in Pakistan, how, even in terms of distribution, are your clothes made in Pakistan or are they made in Dubai? And then how do you distribute them in both countries?
So the production is done in Dubai and in Pakistan. A lot of my handwork is done in Pakistan, in Karachi, where my parents' home is. And you can find me at Ensemble in Karachi. You can find me online at TCS. I'm basically, and in Dubai, I do pop-ups. Thrice a year.
Can you explain the concept of pop-ups? Like, how would that work?
So a pop-up is basically a show that's done for the day at an event. It can be a multi-brand pop-up or it can be an individual pop-up. I usually do small multi-brand pop-ups at hotels and different venues where I showcase my clothes. And usually I end up doing 3 in Dubai. I end up doing 1 in Hong Kong, 1 in London. These days travel is quite restricted, so unfortunately I couldn't do the pop-up I had planned in Hong Kong, but yes, that was on the cards.
So how many days is a pop-up? Is it 2 or 3 days, or is it one show?
No, a pop-up is 1 day. A pop-up is usually 1 day, yeah.
And so when you travel to these places, do you have friends around the world? Do you live in hotels? How do you manage this? It sounds very glamorous and exciting.
It depends on the person who's organizing the pop-up. You usually do end up staying in the hotel where the pop-up is. And if there's a fashion show to follow, you have rehearsals. I'm lucky I've ended up doing pop-ups in places where I've either lived or I've known people. So Hong Kong, I used to live in Hong Kong about 9 years ago. So I've done 3 or 4 pop-ups there and I know people and people know me, so that's great. London is a place where I have some great friends and I've ended up doing a couple of pop-ups there. New York is where I went to school, so it's familiar territory to me, second home. So I've done a couple of pop-ups there. But I love traveling, so even if it was a pop-up in a different country, I would happily go. South Africa, Egypt, wherever.
That's nice. That's wonderful. And so you mentioned that one of your strengths is that your clothes are very international. And so people around the world can buy them, even if they're not from a Pakistani ethnic background. Which other culture or nationality are your clothes very popular with? Have you observed any trends? Do you have a lot of clientele in Dubai itself?
A lot of local clients in Dubai. I was retailing at a store called LADIESFUND a couple of years ago, which is mostly local clients. So, they love the clothes. I have a lot of Lebanese clients. I have a lot of Indian clients. I have a lot of South American and Italian clients. So, yeah, very, very diverse.
And so, how do you do the research for your designs? I'm just wondering, do you look up patterns around the world? How do you actually come up with your designs? Is there some process of studying different cultures or different types of textiles you undertake before you do each of your collections?
Yes, it is. It's a lot of fun, actually. I mean, as a designer, one finds inspiration all around you, right? I mean, 2 years ago, we went to Greece and we went to Mykonos. So I was very inspired by the colors, the blues and the prints. So I did a collection inspired by that. And then the Iznik textiles, the Turkish textiles are very inspiring to me. So, I went to Turkey and I had a trip where I did a lot of research and I worked on this, the colors and the patterns on, for their textiles, and one of my collections was based on that. You can be inspired as a designer. Anything can inspire you. 2 days ago, I went to a place called Green Planet, which is a rainforest in Dubai, and I saw the most gorgeous emerald green python, a boa constrictor. And, I thought to myself, I said, this is my favorite color, and I'm going to do a line based on these greens. It was so inspiring to me.
Wow, you found a snake inspiring. Okay, I'm really scared of snakes.
Colors. It was, yeah. When we studied in FIT, they used to teach us this. They taught us how to find inspiration. They would put a chair in front of you and say, design something inspired from this chair. So you learn to look at the lines of the chair, and you learn to look at the colors and to actually take inspiration from something which to somebody else may seem very mundane, but you learn to pick inspiration from it.
Wow. So what has been your moment of eureka, one of the most inspirational moments, which has resulted in your best outfit? Is there any one outfit that that eureka moment that created it?
No, I can't. That's like asking me to pick my favorite child. I love all my designs, and I've had many, I've had a lot of favorite collections. My Turkish-inspired collection was one of my favorites. I did a collection called Teardrops of the Moon, which was a lot of pearls. That was one of my favorites. I've had a whole bunch of them. The Mykonos collection was from one of my most memorable holidays. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're really, really international, and that's your personality, and that's being reflected in your clothes, which is just lovely. So if I were to ask you which is the designer that has inspired you? Are there one or two designers like that? And is it, again, so your personality is reflected in your clothes. So would your favorite designer's personality have influenced you and their holistic lifestyle, or would it just be their professional approach?
Yeah, you could say that. When I was with DVF, when I did my apprenticeship with her, I was very young, and I was very influenced by this dynamic, amazing woman who, on every level, from critiquing, from being inspired, the way she lived, her whole design philosophy. So she really inspired me, and I think she really influenced my way of thinking design as well, which is, what I said earlier, versatility. Those are things I learned from her, because her wrap dresses, for example, I don't know if you're familiar with them, that's the whole thing. They're very versatile. They're very, they're worn day to night. And I really kind of molded my business model on her, because I wanted to make pieces for women that are dynamic and fashionable and busy. They make you feel beautiful. You can wear them when you go to work, and then you can dress them up in the night. So, I would say from the design perspective, not so much, because I don't make wrap dresses, but definitely the philosophy and the approach to design, and the way of thinking and the way of being inspired. She was very inspiring. I love Olivier Rousteing, who's a French designer. He's the head designer for Balmain. He's one of my favorite designers.
Okay. Is there anything in Pakistan that you feel that you've gradually incorporated in your clothes? Subconsciously or consciously, any memory, any event that's taken place?
Sorry, you cut off.
Yeah. So is there anything that happened in your childhood or school years, or something that happened in Pakistan that's woven itself into your work? Maybe someplace you saw. Yeah.
I grew up in Pakistan, so that's definitely very apparent in my work and my style of work, my craftsmanship, the beading and the handwork.
Yes.
That my Pakistani heritage definitely comes through. And then my Karachi sensibility and style aesthetic does come through, because when I have clients who come to me from other cities in Pakistan, like Lahore, they see that whole Karachi aesthetic in my clothes. So I would say growing up, when you grew up in a city and, you've kind of been born and brought up there, you have a certain aesthetic. And that does definitely show itself in your collections.
So Tell me now about this glamorous life of yours. How do you balance your children? How have you balanced your young kids and your husband and your own family is in Karachi, and I know you spend a lot of time with your father and with your family here. So how do you do all this? Do you make a schedule that this is what I'm going to do every month or every week? Does it involve a lot of planning?
So I like to say that I'm the queen of multitasking. I've developed the art of multitasking, because my life is quite busy. So, and I think, you know what, Mehreen, I think women as a whole have this amazing ability to multitask and to compartmentalize and to juggle many things at the same time. So that's how I do it. I manage my day, and it's a lot of time management. I manage my days so that I can get my work done. I can spend time with my kids, so that I don't feel I'm compromising on anything. It's not a this or a that. I feel women can have it all. I feel you can have a career, you can, be a successful businesswoman and a mom, and have a family. So yes, I think you can have it all, and as long as you kind of you persevere and you work hard, it's very easily achievable.
So tell me about your kids.
So I have two kids, a 15-year-old and a 9. One is going into year 5.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I miss the question?
No, I asked you about your kids, your children. Did you hear the question?
So yes, so I have two kids. I have a 15-year-old and a 9-year-old. So they keep me pretty, hands full. And I have a cat.
I have 5, so I know where you're coming from. In fact, you inspired me to get cats, so that was my source of inspiration. But tell me, how does your daughter? Oh yeah, it's amazing. How does your daughter react to your work? Does she like being part of it? Like, does she help you out when you're working and get excited about your designs, or does she feel it's time away from her? What has her reaction been to your work?
I think my daughter loves the fact that I'm a fashion designer because, she benefits hugely from it. She'll see something in a magazine, she'll like it, and she'll come and she'll say, Mama, can you make this for me? And I'm like, sure, why not? So she loves it. She loves it when people come up to her and say, oh, can we be in your mom's fashion show? The kids get excited about little things when they're not written about, or, when they hear about me from other people. But, I think it keeps them grounded. I think it's important for them to see that I'm working, that I'm able to multitask and juggle. I try to be there for them as much as I can. But, I think there are times that we as women, we tend to want to have it all. And it's okay if we don't. Like if I miss a swimming gala, I'll feel guilty about it. But I think at the end of the day, she's not going to remember that. She's going to remember the good bits. The fact that her mother's working and she was there for her and she was inspiring.
That's so cool. And has that made her a more independent and capable person, do you think?
Definitely. She's definitely growing up into a very independent and capable young lady. Definitely more mature than I was at 15. She knows what she wants.
Oh, we had so much fun when we were 15. That's good to know. And what does she want to be when she, what line of work does she want to go into?
So she's a singer. She wants to be a singer, and she's got her own YouTube channel. Yes, she's released her first song. She was on the radio in Dubai. So she plans on being a singer.
And how do you feel about that? Like, that's not it's a very unusual field to go into. Perhaps I'm saying that, but now it's very very usual. So have you ever encouraged her to go into any particular field, or you have let her decide?
I supported that. No, I've let her decide. I feel it's very important for my kids to do what they're passionate, because I feel if you do something that you're passionate about, you love, you do it well. It's just kind of, it goes hand in hand. I'm passionate about fashion. I love to do it. I'm excited to wake up and do it every morning, and it makes a difference. I want kids to pursue their passions, and I feel the world is becoming more interesting. You can do what you do. If you're good at it, you can find your own niche.
So it seems you found your own path in life and you're letting your daughter find her path in life, which is wonderful, and you're being very supportive of her. So if you have a message for other women out there, other young women in particular who are starting out in their lives, who are thinking ahead of how they're going to balance these various things, what advice would you give them, when they see their years ahead?
I think I would say do what you love, do what you're passionate about. You can do it all. If you have a dream and you pursue it and you work hard, you can do it. You can achieve anything you want. So I would tell young women, the art of perseverance, doing what you love is very important. Stay true to yourself. Sometimes, you need to take a break, whether it's, from a family perspective. It's okay, take a break. Enjoy every phase of your life. When you're working, enjoy that. When you have a family, enjoy that. Get back to work. You can achieve anything you want if you set your heart to it. And the other thing I'd like to say is women should elevate other women. It's very important that as women, we encourage other women around us. Currently in the world of social media, there's a lot of women who don't support other women, and honestly, it's not a healthy attitude. I think women should support other women, be kind, elevate other women, and if you do, you will prosper.
Okay, that's nice to know. So are there any questions? Would anybody who's in the audience like to ask Mehreen anything? I'll give it a few minutes.
Okay.
Okay. I don't think there are any questions as such. Oh, there is one from Sadaf, and I'll just read it out to you. Sadaf says, women are no doubt amazing multitaskers. They just need to manage time accordingly, like work, home, kids, family. They're already doing it, so many things without even knowing it. Oh, yeah, I agree. I think women are quite modest.
It's inbuilt in us. We can do it all. We can have it all. We shouldn't feel limited, because I feel as women, if we put our minds to it, something we can achieve it. It's all about persistence. Persistence is the key.
So who is the greatest source of inspiration in your life? And I mean your personal life.
My mother.
Oh, yes, I agree. She's a remarkable lady. She's a remarkable lady, yes. And she's been a businesswoman herself.
Very inspirational.
So your mother has been
she's always pushed me. Whenever I faltered, she's always been behind me saying, no, you can do it. Of course, with giving me advice on make sure you don't neglect your kids, make sure you do this and you do that. But on the whole, yes, she's definitely always been there for me. And I'm very grateful for that, because I think if one has supportive people in one's life, one can achieve, anything you want. The sky's the limit.
And she herself is a business lady. She herself has been working all her life.
A question. If you have a pop-up show in a city, how do you invite people if you're new? These days with social media, if you're having a pop-up, you put it out on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, people get to hear about it.
That's good. And any other questions? But I don't know, do they have pop-ups in Karachi?
I know Ensemble does pop-ups, close to Eid. There's not that many over there. They do have wedding shows and all, but there's not really the concept of small designer pop-ups. Maybe there are a few, I'm not sure.
And what's a good way to distribute in Karachi?
It started off in Dubai, this whole concept. It started off with brands like... Sorry?
I said in Karachi, then what would be a good way to distribute? because she asked about the pop-ups, one of the ladies who is watching.
Definitely, if you're a designer, you should approach big stores, big multi-brand stores, and that's where you should display your label. That's definitely the best way to distribute and get your name out there.
Okay, great. So if there are no other questions, then we'll say that we'll wrap it up. And
Sure,
thank you for joining us, Mehreen. Thank you very, very much.
My pleasure.
And thank you for such an inspiration. It's wonderful to see how far we've come. I'm just smiling when I think back of the last 25, 30 odd years.
I know. Yeah.
And I remember in art class, you always had a flair for art, and you enjoyed it so much.
I sucked at math, and I was always good at art. So it's kind of like I was meant to go in this direction, right? I couldn't have been a banker or, worked at a financial institution with my atrocious math skills.
You always knew that, but it didn't matter in the end, did it?
Now I've learned. Now I've learned how to, when it comes to money, your math skills do become good.
Yes, of course. Nothing like money to make things work.
But thank you so much for this. This
Thank
was
you.
lovely, Mehreen. I hope I was able to inspire the young women out there.
I hope so too.
I
hope so too. Yes, I'm sure you were, and it's amazing whatever you've accomplished, and you've done it with your own dreams and your own flexibility and adaptability to life. So thank you for all of you for watching us. This is the first in a series of shows, and the next guest we'll have is Lubna Lakhani, who owns Raintree Spa, to hear her story of how she's made it and, juggle so many things in her life. And after that, we have Ruxana, who heads Fulcrum, which is an HR consultancy. These are only 3 of the speakers we'll be having. We have many more coming, and they're from different sectors. So you can learn how people have been working, women have been working in these different sectors and making their lives work. To hope to see you at the next show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.